What up, nerds? Okay, coming at you guys with another YouTube video. This time I'm going to tell you guys everything I know about how to stud tires for ice drifting. Talk about the different types of studs, what I've used, what I liked about them, what I didn't like about them, and this is all in an effort to hopefully help you guys save some time and some money through my mistakes and the things that I've done. I'm also going to show you guys how to install each stud, and we'll put a link in the bio of this video for all the different types of studs and the stuff that we use. So I hope you guys enjoy. Let's get studding. We're going ice drifting next weekend again with FDF, so we're gonna test the new style of stud. Stay tuned. All right, so I'm back in the shop, nice and warm, and I'm gonna go over a few of the studs that I've already used in my tires, tried in my tires, tell you guys the difference between them and how they've actually worked, and then I'm gonna show you guys what that means. Then I'm gonna show you guys how we stud them. Here's what we got. On the right, these are a 12 mil tiny little Amazon studs. You guys go on Amazon, you search tire studs, you're gonna find these. People use these for ATV, snowmobile, snow blower, even like bicycle tires. And these are just a screw-in style stud. So you can see they all come with a tool. You attach your drill and you just screw them into the tire. These guys right here in the center line. I experimented with those on this car and I drilled them all into the center line of this tire. They all stayed in the tire, which is pretty impressive. The next one is the style that you use on a stud gun, and that's these guys. You can see I got two different lengths here. This is a 12 mil, which is this part number right here, and this is a 14 mil. So these you use a stud gun like so. This is pneumatic. You hook it up to a compressor, and this will only work if your tires have the pre-molded holes in the tread blocks to accept that kind of stud. That's what these guys are here. The next one, this is like a carbide style stud, and you guys can see it has sort of like an auger style to it. It drills in, and this also comes with an installation tool. You can get those on Amazon as well, and you can actually drill those into the pre-molded holes in the tread block of your rubber tire. And I tried it. There's an example you can see right there. It did stay in really well, worked really good. This is like, I think they're called MF44. This is an actual nut and bolt style. So none of these pierce the tire or cause you to lose any air or require any sealant for these three. These ones do. So you're gonna mount these, and I'm gonna show you guys how I do it all. With the tire off the rim, you're drilling these through the tire. You're gonna use washers, as well as these get nut and bolted and washered on the back side of the tire. We're gonna use windshield fast curing urethane to seal them. So we're gonna dip them in this before we run them through the tire, seal them with nut and bolt. This dries but still stays malleable and flexible is gonna make sure that these don't leak, plus they get tightened up pretty well. From least effective, least aggressive, up to most aggressive. What I'm gonna do now is we're gonna talk about what's important with these. What's really important when you're doing the stud gun style of stud is getting the right type of stud for the model of a tire that you have. So these are Nexen Windguard or Windspike 3s. Yeah, they're Windguard Windspikes. And if you actually go and Google this tire model and you say recommended stud, you can find a manual from Nexen that tells you the exact stud model that you need for this tire. If you guys look at some of these studs, something like this, you can see that stud there. It's pushed down and back. That's going to eject. That's gonna come out of the tire the same way that these ones did at some point. And the reason for that is the actual body of the stud itself is too long and it's protruding out of the tire, because when you do that on the ice, it's actually pulling the whole stud, you can see it's moving, out of the tire and rubber compound. So those were 14 mils. We just had those in a bucket, which is why I use them. The correct size to use would be these, the 12 mils. Because what you want, in a perfect world, I'm gonna try and show you guys this. In a perfect world, you only want this carbide tip piece just right here to stick out. You don't want the body, the stud right there that I'm pointing to stick out. You just want that little carbide tip right there. That's all you want to stick out of the tire tread compound. I also thought at the time, learning the hard way, I thought, oh, longer stud will be more aggressive, more of this will stick out. doesn't work that way. These just pull right out. Doesn't matter if the body's longer. For this style of studs, you just want the tip to protrude, which is why this one, which is the auger style that I talked about drilling in, you can see just the tip of that stud is sticking out of the tire, and that's why it stayed in there. And that's what you want, because the tread block itself is what's containing that stud from being moved back and forth. And so if just the carbide tip is protruding, the stud's nice and secure in there, and you get consistent grip, you don't lose studs. So these are all things that might be obvious to some of you guys, but we didn't know anything about this when we started ice drifting. These are like conventional street legal road studs, but when you're putting it through an environment where for 2 days straight you have wheel speeds over 200 kilometers an hour, you really start to learn the technology behind the tire and why a proper stud size is so important. So I hope I saved you guys some time and struggle there. Make sure if you have tires that have pre-molded holes, Google your tire, find out the correct stud size, make sure you install them properly. And when you do that, you just want the carbide tip poking out so that the stud body is contained in the tread block. Now I'm going to show you guys how to install every style of these. So I'm going to show you guys is the style that screws into the tread block, like an auger style. It comes with a supplied installation bit. You're going to throw that on your drill. It's just a keyway style that corresponds with the stud itself. And you want to go slow here. So you want it to go in even. You want it to start to bite like that and just let it walk itself in. Zero pressure. Just walks itself in. Now you can see that right there would be too high. We want that to be flush with the tread block, so you just keep going a little bit. There we go. And that's what we want. Just the tip is above the tread block. Just the tip. We're gonna do one more of those to show you guys. There we go, beauty. That's how you do the auger style. We're gonna talk about the tiny little Amazon ones. Those are the ones that are running down the center line of my tire here. These are definitely the ones that are gonna have the least amount of grip, and they probably have the most likelihood of falling out. I know that sounds weird because mine didn't, but it's because of where I put them. But I just experimented. I wanted to see if I can get a little bit more grip by having them in the center line. One thing that's important to remember, you can see in the tread block, there's all these grooves. These will not work if you screw them into those. They'll just fall right out. So the only reason I was able to do it in the center line here is because there's a solid piece of rubber there that doesn't have any of these perforated grooves. Otherwise, this will have nothing to dig into. Just feed it into the tool that comes with it. And I'm just gonna drill it right into the tire here. So just drill in super easy. That would be too high. So same theme as everything else. The smaller little carbide tip on the top, that's all we wanna protrude. So we need to go deeper into the tire here. That's exactly what we want. It's flush with the rubber. Just the tip is protruding. That should stay in there for a decent amount of time. Now, I would not recommend doing these as your only method of studding your tires for ice drifting. This is definitely not gonna be your sole stud that you're relying on. So this is what a stud gun looks like. It's pneumatic. This is where all the studs are held. I'm gonna show you guys how to load it first. This little piece of wire just sits in a groove here, and that's what holds this kind of canister magazine, if you will. Turn it upside down, just like that. Take some studs, load it in there. We're gonna throw this back on, turn it back, clamp that on, and that's gonna keep it on. So the way it works is there's a hole right here, and as you kind of shuffle and turn it, the studs start actually lining themselves up. And you twist it kind of randomly. You see they just start falling in there. That's how it gets loaded. They automatically wanna sit like this. All of them start kind of lining themselves up. And as I spin it, you can see they fall down the hole in the gun, and that's basically our chamber. So we're good to go. Now we're gonna stud some tires. The way this works is this tip opens up when you throw it in the hole here, and it opens it up, fires a stud in, and you can see the flange goes into the tire, and when it closes, the rubber closes around it and keeps it in there. So the key when you're doing this, you wanna get it in there, lots of pressure. There we go. There we go. There we go. Boom. All right, so you can kind of get a rhythm going. So we're gonna do a bunch of these, but I'm gonna show you another trick. And this only applies if you have a wheel balancer, but it does help. If you have a wheel balancer, mount your actual assembly on the wheel balancer, and then you can use the balancer to stud your tires. It's at a better working height. You can apply some force on it, and you just keep rotating the tire like so. I've had some people tell me, oh, it's gonna knock your balancer out of calibration. If you're being that aggressive with your wheel stud gun, I don't know, man. I don't think it's gonna knock it out of calibration. Especially if you have a good balancer that does auto calibration and you have a calibration tool, you'll be fine. But I guess do that at your own caution. But it's a great trick that a lot of people use, so we're gonna do that right now. So these tires have lost studs over the last event. For the reasons that I mentioned, we had a kind of bulk barrel filled with studs of various sizes, and the ones that we put in that were too long are the ones that we're now replacing. Because the body was too long. You see, guys, this is perfect. The body is fully contained on the tread block, just the carbide tip sticking out. Yeah, the body on the ones we put in were too long. Those ejected, and then your homies start gapping you. You feel like a loser. So that's how you use a stud gun. That's how you stud this style of tires. The balancer is a nice trick for doing it easier. All right, so back at my place, brought the tires with me. You can see I've already started studding this one, drilling, and I'm finishing up on this one. Might make some adjustments. These are MF44 ice racing studs, and you simply just, this is a 1/4 inch drive, so you just drill them into the tire. And then they do get supplied with matching lock nuts. So highly recommend that you also put Loctite on these. They're gonna be under a lot of force and a lot of load. So of course, going to Loctite them as well. These are 3/4 inch OD washers. Box of 500 I got from my local supplier. 500 is twice what I have. I only have 250 of these, but just got a bunch because I know I'm gonna need them. So what I'm doing right now is just running my pattern on the outside. You can see on the inside, no nuts or anything yet. I'm gonna get that done on all the tires and do a good job at sealing it, Loctite it, and make sure they're all snug. So step one though is picking a pattern. So you can see I'm using a pair of burners here. These also have a little bit of camber wear, so I'm making sure that the side of the tire that has more meat is gonna be on the inside of my rears. These are my rears, by the way. So that's a rear, this is a rear. Those are my fronts that have studs in them already. They already have a good bit of grip because they have the factory studs, so I'm only gonna add a few of these serious studs to those ones. Just enough so that I don't understeer. But you can see what I chose this tire is because it's got lots of flat spaces where you can see that I've put the washer. So the thought process is that you have a nice flat surface so that this load, when it's tightened down and torqued, is going to distribute evenly along the washer, which is the reason why I didn't go with these guys down here. You can see there's lots of areas where it'd be tough to screw something into because there's so many lines that would separate the tire tread block, and not a lot of opportunity for the washer to be contacting as much of the tire tread as possible. Plus those are brand new and I kind of felt bad about doing it to them. But these were ideal in my opinion because of the fact that through the center line, nice flat area for the washer to distribute the load on, as well as lots of stuff out here. I'm trying to keep it to the middle of the tire because this is going to be a passenger rear. This is going to be the inside of the car on this side. Trying to keep obviously the grip in the middle where the tire's going to be contacting the ice. I might throw the odd one in on this side, to be determined. The way that I did this is I just picked the outside pattern first. So you can see this tire has these water wicking patterns here that are offset left and right. And I just simply started by screwing one in on the top of each of those all the way around. That way I know that those are evenly distributed on the tire. And then now what I'm doing with the center line is I'm just filling the gap in the middle. The idea is that you always have a point of contact as the tire is rotating with the ice. So that's my thought process on that, which is why they're staggered. This was a tedious process. So I got my dog chilling with me. I grabbed the beer, have some music going. It's just time consuming. And I would definitely say spend your time picking the pattern that you're going to run before you start drilling stuff in. Err on the side of less studs than more if you're contemplating it on the edge, especially in my case. Like, my ice shifting car is a stock E46 and an M54. It makes 200 wheel on a good day with a good wind behind it. Like, it's not fast. So I don't want to be in a position where I grip these up too much and I'm fighting the car and clutch kicking it and just like struggling to make it smooth and make it drift. So I am kind of erring on the side of less studs. I'd rather be slower, and I can still make adjustments if I need to, than over gripping it. So that is my recommendation to you guys. Take the time to plot out where you're going to put everything based on what tire you're running. Try and find a tire with flat surface area to distribute the load. And then, yeah, just prepare for the journey. So I'm going to finish setting this tire. So I have all these driven through, and I want to give you guys a few tips. As you can see, I have my tread pattern sorted out. The idea here was to make sure that there was always going to be a bolt contacting the surface. So that's why they're staggered like this. I'll report back on how that goes, but I feel pretty good about it. I used the tread pattern, the fact that these are offset were the water wicks to determine that, and then I did my center line in the middle, so there's always one there. A few things I want to bring up real quick. When you're drilling these through the tire, coat the threads in your windshield urethane, this stuff right here. That way, as you drill it through, the urethane is sealing the leak path, and the leak path in this case is the threads themselves. So do that. And then I haven't done the nuts on the backside yet, but I'm not gonna like film that because it's pretty self-explanatory for you guys. But here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put some urethane on the backside, and then washer, then nut. And then that way, between putting it on the threads as it goes through and on the backside when we torque and tighten, that's gonna really guarantee that we have a good seal. Another thing I wanna talk about quick, these are 3/4 washers. These are probably on the smaller side. You probably wanna go up a size from this. The reason I didn't in this application is I was worried about in my center line or other areas that if it exceeded this patch and there was an area where there's a valley beneath the washer, that's just gonna allow the snow and ice as I'm drifting sideways to get underneath the washer and potentially fold it. So that was my concern. I'm gonna experiment with this, but if your tread pattern isn't like this, you have the opportunity to, I would suggest a wider washer for more surface area coverage. Torquing these, I don't know if there's a torque value. I think basically I'm just going off of the size of the bolt, right? So based on the size of this bolt, roughly, I think anywhere between 15 to 25 foot-pounds, probably fine. If you care enough to actually go through and torque them all. If you're OCD, then go for it. I don't know if I'm going to or not. I probably will, just because I want to really make sure this goes well. But that's my thoughts on that. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this process went. It's not hard. It's just time consuming. And we're gonna head out to the ice next weekend and try these out with all the FDF boys. But I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Drop any question comments below. I'll answer them if I can. And yeah, we'll report back how this specific setup worked out. So hope you guys learned something. I hope I saved you guys some time, hopefully some time and some money, and go have fun. Go drift on the ice.